Was George Whitefield a man of fire? Or was it just a time and place that he preached, that folks were hungry and thirsty to hear his preaching? Then again, was it George's preaching or what he preached? Church historians said the English countryside and later America, from Georgia to New England, owed a great awakening to George and other men of God, such as Jonathan Edwards in Massachusetts. He preached sinners in the hands of an angry God, which caused quite a stir, especially over in Suffield, Connecticut, which then was actually a part of Massachusetts. Anyway, now I'm not a historian, an academic, but I do have those spiritual spidey senses about me. I know what it means to become impassioned and loom large around folks. I have a physical presence, 6 foot tall, 200 plus pounds. My face reddens when I get wound up. I've been told I appear menacing to some. Now, what fires me up? Today, I get wound up talking about Jesus. Now, that wasn't true yesterday. Yesterday I got fired up debating doctrine, predestination, end-time predictions, dunking or sprinkling. Oh, right. Do you know what I heard? I heard that the Baptists once owned Dunkin' Donuts and then sold a share to the Presbyterians. And that's how they got sprinkles on their donuts. Yes, we should laugh. God does. He laughs at our folly, and that leads me back to where I started out. By George. The story is that he was preaching. I don't know whether it was indoors or outdoors. All he wanted was for folks to open their doors of their hearts to Jesus, who was standing there and knocking. Anyway, midstream in his sermon, a fellow in the crowd shouted out a question about John Wesley. Do you think you'll see John Wesley in heaven? George, who no doubt had the presence of Christ in his soul, probably stood for a moment, being caught midstream as he was with the question about Wesley. Was he being set up as the Pharisees went to set up Jesus when they asked him about paying taxes to Caesar? Do you know how contentious that question was in the presence of his audience? John Wesley. He was Arminian. He was a free willer. The Wesleys believed that men chose to believe in Jesus or not. Men were given choice. It was their choice, not God's predestination or foreordination of anything. Anyway, after a moment, George answered, No, I don't think he will be there. No doubt the crowd gasped. The Wesleys were perceived mighty men of God in their preaching and hymn writing. No doubt it was a setup. If not intentional, though God is not the devil in the details. And George had a response along the same lines when Jesus said to the Pharisees, I will ask you a question, answer me, and I will tell you by what authority I do these things. Was the baptism of John from heaven or from men? Answer me. Jesus knew the fracas that any answer would have created among the people. So the Pharisees didn't answer wisely. However, in George's answer, his answer was to bring the people together, not to divide. George leaned in and must have said with a grin, By that, sir, I mean I won't see him. Wesley's so far ahead in the front ranks of the saints, glorifying God with that voice of his. Well, wow. George Whitefield put himself so far behind, and John Wesley and brother, and so far close. No doubt the questioner and those in the audience were flabbergasted to hear Mr. Whitefield's answer. Of course, how do we bottom line a statement like that? No doubt George was sincere. He wasn't dodging the question. Such fire and yet humility, fire and ice. As far as a bottom line, I think that George knew that doctrine doesn't save. Jesus saves.